Every star in Hollywood has a personal story that never made it to the spotlight, a side that few people ever see. In 1958, when Angie Dickinson stepped onto the dusty sets of old Tucson studios to film the classic Western Rio Bravo, she was still a newcomer, nervous and full of dreams. Among the legendary actors around her, John Wayne, Dean Martin, and others, was a young performer who was already famous across America. His name was Ricky Nelson, and at just 18 years old, he was one of the biggest teen idols in the world. But behind his polished smile and fame, Angie discovered a very different side of him. Something quiet, kind, and deeply human. She saw a version of Ricky Nelson that fans never got to know. For over 60 years, she kept her experience mostly private. But when she finally spoke about it, her story completely changed how people remembered him. It wasn't about scandal or drama, but about the quiet truth of who he really was. A young man with a genuine heart and rare humility. Angie's discovery not only changed the way she saw Ricky, but also shaped how she viewed her own career and the meaning of true professionalism. The year was 1958, and Rio Bravo was set to be one of Hollywood's biggest westerns. Directed by the legendary Howard Hawks, the film brought together some of the most famous names in the industry. John Wayne was the strong and fearless star everyone admired, and Dean Martin was making his way from music to serious acting. Angie Dickinson was the fresh face, young, talented, and nervous about working with such major stars. And then there was Ricky Nelson, the music sensation stepping into his first big movie role. The atmosphere on set was electric. Every day was filled with excitement, tension, and the pressure to create something unforgettable. Angie later said that the hardest part wasn't the acting itself, but learning how to fit in with such powerful personalities. But the person who made that easier than anyone expected was Ricky. Even though he was a global superstar, he walked onto the set without arrogance or pride. Instead of demanding attention, he greeted everyone, from the director to the crew, with a simple smile and a handshake. To Angie, this behavior was shocking in the best possible way. In a world where fame often created distance, Ricky broke the rules by being humble, curious, and kind. While many stars kept to themselves, Ricky Nelson did something that amazed everyone. He treated the movie set like a classroom. Instead of acting like a celebrity, he behaved like a student eager to learn. During filming breaks, when most actors went back to their trailers, Ricky would walk around the set asking questions. He wanted to know how the lights worked, how the camera captured certain angles, and what made a scene look so powerful on screen. He even talked to the stuntmen about how they created action scenes safely. Angie watched this young star, who could have easily acted spoiled, show a real hunger to understand every part of movie making. It wasn't just curiosity, it was respect. He respected the hard work of the crew, the talent of his co-stars, and the art of filmmaking itself. This deep interest left a lasting impression on Angie. She realized that Ricky wasn't chasing fame, he was chasing excellence. His willingness to learn made him stand out, and his kindness made everyone around him work harder. Angie later said that she learned more from watching Ricky's behavior than from any formal acting lesson she ever received. Ricky's attitude on the set of Rio Bravo was a lesson in quiet leadership. He never tried to be the loudest or the most important person in the room. Instead, he led by example. He was always on time, prepared, and respectful of everyone's time and effort. Even though he was one of the youngest people on set, he behaved like an old soul who understood the value of teamwork. One thing that touched Angie deeply was how Ricky treated every crew member equally. He talked to the lighting technicians, sound engineers, and camera operators with the same warmth he gave to the director and actors. When someone was having a rough day, he noticed, if a crew member looked tired, he'd offer a kind word or a quick joke to lift their spirits. Sometimes, after a long day of filming, he would quietly pick up his guitar and play a few soft tunes. It wasn't a performance, just a moment to relax and bring people together. Angie noticed how these small actions changed the atmosphere. People started smiling more, working harder, and treating each other with more care. Ricky's kindness was contagious, and it made the entire production stronger and happier. As filming continued, Angie discovered something that truly revealed Ricky's character. One morning, she found a small handwritten note on her chair. It was from Ricky. He had written a few kind words praising her performance from the previous day. A scene they hadn't even shared together. That meant he had been paying attention to her work even when he wasn't part of it. Angie was touched beyond words. Over the next few weeks, she realized she wasn't the only one. Many crew members had received similar notes, small, thoughtful messages from Ricky, thanking them for their hard work or encouraging them during tough days. These notes weren't for attention or praise. No one knew about them except the people who received them. For Ricky, it was simply his way of showing gratitude. This small habit became known among the team as Ricky's secret. In an industry where ego and fame often overshadowed kindness, he stood out as someone who believed that appreciation mattered. Angie said that these little acts of kindness transformed the atmosphere of the entire set. People worked not just for the film, but for each other, inspired by the example of an 18-year-old boy who understood the power of respect and humanity. There was one day during filming that truly proved Ricky's rare character. The crew was facing a technical disaster: bad lighting, poor sound, and growing frustration everywhere. Instead of getting upset or complaining, Ricky did something unexpected. He walked over to the technicians and started asking them questions. He wanted to understand what was wrong, not to fix it, but to show that he cared. His interest made everyone feel calmer, and soon the mood shifted from stress to teamwork. Angie said that moment taught her what true leadership looked like. It wasn't about giving orders or being in charge. It was about staying kind and focused when things got hard. Ricky's gentle influence made people want to do their best, not because they were told to, but because they respected him. He showed Angie that kindness could be stronger than authority. This experience would stay with her for the rest of her career, reminding her that real strength comes from empathy and patience, not power or fame. As Angie and Ricky worked together more closely, their bond grew. But it wasn't romantic. It was built on creativity and mutual respect. When they struggled with emotional scenes, Ricky would quietly take Angie aside and talk about what their characters were really feeling. He wanted to understand the emotions beneath the words, to make every scene real and alive. They would discuss ideas, challenge each other, and work together to make the film better. Ricky's approach was never about showing off. He wanted both of them to succeed. This made Angie feel seen and valued, especially as a new actress in a male-dominated industry. Their teamwork didn't go unnoticed. Even John Wayne and Dean Martin began to admire Ricky's dedication and started sharing their own tips with him. Wayne taught him how to command the camera with confidence, while Martin helped him find rhythm and flow in his dialogue. Ricky accepted every lesson with gratitude. Angie said it was rare to see someone so young handle fame with such grace and humility. Their friendship on and off the set became one of the most positive influences in her career. More than 6 decades later, Angie Dickinson still remembers the lessons she learned from Ricky Nelson during the making of Rio Bravo. When people ask her about working with legends like John Wayne or Dean Martin, she always mentions Ricky first. What impressed her wasn't just his talent, but his heart. He showed her that true professionalism isn't about fame, power, or status. It's about respect, kindness, and hard work. After that experience, Angie made it a personal mission to treat every person she worked with, from actors to camera assistants, as an equal. She made sure to learn their names, ask about their lives, and thank them for their work. She said that attitude came directly from watching Ricky. Even after becoming a big star in her own right, Angie never forgot that lesson. In interviews years later, she described Ricky as one of the most genuine people she had ever met. Someone whose secret life wasn't filled with scandal, but with sincerity and compassion. He showed that even in the competitive world of Hollywood, kindness could shine brighter than fame. So what was Ricky Nelson's real secret? It wasn't something dark or shocking. It was something far more powerful. The ability to stay humble and kind in a world that often rewards ego and selfishness. Angie's story reveals that behind the glamour of Hollywood was a young man who never forgot how to be human. He treated everyone with respect, lifted others when they were struggling, and inspired people through quiet actions rather than loud words. The connection between Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet is not something built on fame or fortune. It's something deeper, an unspoken understanding that grew from years of working together and sharing the same emotional journey in Hollywood. When DiCaprio talks about Kate, his words reveal admiration, trust, and gratitude. He once said in an interview that Kate is the person who knows me better than almost anyone else in the world. That statement shows how strong their friendship has become, surviving decades of change, success, and media pressure. Their bond goes beyond their film roles. They've been there for each other during major life changes, heartbreaks, career highs, and difficult times. When DiCaprio won his first Oscar for The Revenant, Kate was seen cheering with tears in her eyes. It wasn't just a friend supporting another. It was a moment of shared pride, like two people who started a journey together finally seeing one reach a long-awaited dream. On the other hand, when Kate went through personal struggles, Leonardo was always a quiet, comforting presence, offering strength without needing words. This kind of connection is rare in Hollywood, where relationships often fade fast. But theirs only grew stronger. They remind people that friendship between a man and a woman can be pure, powerful, and long-lasting. They never let fame, rumors, or gossip break what they had. Instead, they built a friendship on honesty and respect, a bond that time only deepened. For fans, their friendship represents loyalty and emotional maturity in a world that often celebrates temporary connections. After Titanic, both stars became international icons. While many expected their friendship to fade once filming ended, the opposite happened. They stayed in touch, often meeting away from the spotlight. In several interviews, Winslet has said that Leonardo has been like a rock for her. Always steady, always real, even when the rest of the world seemed fake. She also mentioned that they've shared countless honest conversations, laughter, and even tears over the years. They reunited again in 2008 for Revolutionary Road, a film that required them to play a troubled married couple. It was emotionally intense, and both admitted that it was one of the hardest projects they had ever done. But because of their deep trust and comfort with each other, they could perform those heavy scenes with honesty and vulnerability. Winslet later shared that it was only because she trusted Leonardo completely that she could handle such emotionally draining moments. DiCaprio, in turn, said that working with Kate again reminded him of how special their connection was, a kind of on-screen chemistry that could not be rehearsed or faked. What's interesting is that neither of them ever crossed the line between friendship and romance. Many fans wished they would become a real-life couple, but they always made it clear that their bond was more like family. "We've never been in love," Kate once said, laughing. "It's just never happened. It's quite extraordinary." That honesty helped their friendship stay pure. Instead of ruining it with confusion, they protected it, valuing what they had more than what people wanted them to be. Their story shows that deep emotional intimacy doesn't always need romantic love. Sometimes, the strongest relationships are those based on trust, laughter, and shared memories. For both DiCaprio and Winslet, that kind of friendship has become a lifelong treasure, something that fame, time, and distance could never destroy. Leonardo DiCaprio has often credited Kate Winslet for being a grounding force in his life. In the fast-paced world of Hollywood, where fame can easily change people, Kate helped him stay true to himself. He once mentioned that Kate reminded him to stay humble and connected to his real emotions. Their friendship gave him a space where he didn't have to perform or pretend. He could just be himself. During his younger years, when the world saw him as a heartthrob and Titanic's Jack Dawson, Kate was the one who saw beyond the image. She understood the serious artist inside him who wanted to grow, learn, and challenge himself. In that way, she became both a mirror and a guide, someone who reflected the best parts of him back when he couldn't see them himself. Winslet also helped DiCaprio open up emotionally. She's known for her empathy and warmth, and her presence often made him more expressive in his roles. Many fans believe that the emotional honesty DiCaprio brings to his characters, whether in The Aviator, Inception, or The Revenant, is partly shaped by his friendship with Kate. She encouraged him to take risks, to dive deeper into emotions, and to be fearless in showing vulnerability. On the other hand, Leonardo's loyalty and humor have inspired Kate too. She has said that he reminds her to find joy even during serious times. "He makes me laugh like no one else," she said once. That balance, his humor and her warmth, is what makes their bond so natural and lasting. There have been several heartwarming moments between Leonardo and Kate that show how special their friendship is. One of the most talked about was during the 2016 Oscars. When Leonardo finally won the Academy Award for Best Actor after years of nominations, Kate's emotional reaction went viral. Her eyes filled with tears as she proudly watched him achieve what the world had been waiting for. Later she said, "I just couldn't stop crying. I was so proud of him." Another beautiful moment came when Kate got married in 2012. She chose Leonardo to walk her down the aisle, a deeply personal and symbolic gesture that spoke volumes about their closeness. It wasn't for publicity or fame. It was a heartfelt moment between two people who had shared decades of trust and love in the purest form. Even years later, whenever they attend events together, fans notice their natural comfort. The laughter, the inside jokes, the way they support each other silently. They often say that no matter how much time passes, they pick up right where they left off. That kind of timeless connection is what makes their friendship truly inspiring. In a world where most Hollywood friendships fade with time, Leonardo and Kate's story offers an important life lesson. It teaches that real friendship doesn't need constant attention, grand gestures, or public display. It grows quietly through respect, trust, and shared experiences. Their relationship is based on emotional honesty, something that is becoming increasingly rare in both fame and everyday life. They also remind us that opposite energies can create perfect balance. Leonardo, known for his intensity and